Hello, freaks, geeks, scrufftards, and unwanted vatniks. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And we're gonna take a look at where Russia is moving in on a very vital town in Kursk. So the content of the video is, a critical Russian move in Kursk, and down at Kharkiv, we have seen how the future is unfolding before our eyes, and robotic warfare has become a thing. And then down at Kupiansk, Russia has maybe actually found a way to avoid getting hit by Ukrainian artillery, and this has allowed them to push into towards another important town north of Kupiansk. And then we're going to take a look at Kherson, where Russia is probably probing Ukrainian defenses and gathering intelligence for a larger operation. And no, we're not going to take a look at Pokrovsk because not all that much has happened at Pokrovsk. So we're going to leave that alone in this video. Anyway, let's move on. Right, so we're gonna take a look at Kursk and what's happening here. If we zoom in here to the northern end, we can see that Russia has gained territory here north of Kurilovka, as we suspected. And of course, they began pushing into this area, into this valley, moving south. And then we speculated if they would push straight down for Kurilovka here, or if they would focus on this bit. And they focused on this bit. What they did was push in here as we expected they would do if they wanted the valley. So they applied pressure here around the lake, essentially cutting off the Ukrainians in this part of the valley, and then they pushed in from the north and pushed the Ukrainians out, and they are now in control of both these valleys here, and they are in control of the territory surrounding the lake. Kurilovka is not located here, as far as I know. Kurilovka would be down here. So Kurilovka hasn't fallen as I interpret the map yet, but I mean, as you can see, it's just a small village. But this is where the Russians are at the moment, and if they follow, I mean, all the farmland here is high ground, and the forest belts are the edge of the valley. So we can follow the valley here if we follow the tree lines. I believe there's a small creek here at the bottom of the valley as well. So Russia will probably try and come down this way, follow the valley towards this lake, and then they are straight, well, they are at Nikolaevka. And coming into this small village, they are really close to this bridge here. This bridge, as I understand it, is blown up, which is why I marked it with these flaming icons. But this bridge here is still intact and used for Ukraine to bring supplies and reinforcements across the river to support the troops here from Progrekbeki all the way down here, right? So Russia is probably trying to push in this way to get to Nikolaevka, and when they are here, they are right on top of that bridge and can lock it down and deny Ukraine the use of it. The other crossing point is here, and that is dangerously close to Russian positions. In fact, the road goes from the bridge up to territory that I believe is controlled by Russia here. Up on this top of this ridge line here, following the railway. So Ukraine can't use this bridge because the Russians are too close, and they have cut off parts of the vital road network. So if Russia can push in here to Nikolaevka and reaching this bridge here outside of Staraya Sorichna, the troops from Pogrebki down to Nikolaevka are cut off from reinforcements and supplies. So if they do, chances are that these forces will have to fall back and retreat in some form or fashion east across the Reka Malaya Loknia, the Malaya Loknia River, That's going from north to south here, or if it's flowing northward. Not sure, but there's a river here. Let's see if we can highlight it. Right, you can see the river here, where the bridges are. This bridge is blown. This bridge is what Russia is trying to push in towards, and there are no other crossing points except up here. And as you can see, this bridge and the roads and what have you, they are under Russian control on top of this ridge. So Russia is on a roll. They've taken a lot of territory in short time. This is a bit unusual for this war, but basically what you expect in modern warfare. But I think this is mainly due to Russia just throwing North Koreans at the problem. So the Ukrainians are overwhelmed by the amount of enemy troops coming at them, would be my guess. At the same time, Russia has secured Novaivanovka and locked down Ukrainian ability to maneuver in the center of the battlefield. And so that is why Russia can now focus on swinging down from the north as they are controlling the center of the battlefield, the central front line here in Kursk. And Ukraine cannot outflank these Russians, and they cannot threaten these Russians as they're coming in from the north. So Ukraine is reduced to simply merely defending. If Ukraine can push into Novaivanovka, then they can think about moving in, maybe coming in behind the Russians and so on. But as long as Russia is holding this town, Ukraine can only defend up here. Also, down here, north of Plekovo and Goevo, we have seen Russian advances. We zoom in a bit here at Kurilovka. We can see that Russia has moved in here, straight for town. A couple of days ago, we found out that they were conducting reconnaissance. Ukraine fought them off, and now there's been a bigger, greater push by Russia. So the reconnaissance efforts paid off. They gathered the intelligence they needed, and Russia then used that intelligence to launch an assault. Why here? Well, if you take a look up here, you have wide open spaces. This kind of looks like bogs, marshes, and swamps, right? No fun to advance through at all. You have some farmland here, probably the only patch of dry land in this area. But if you take a look down here, you actually have cover, forest, tree lines, and shrubbery and what have you, and also 2 farms. So Russia has avoided this area. I've talked about this before, that I was skeptical that Russia would try and push across this open area, which they have not. They have in fact come through here where there is cover, like I've talked about. I don't remember when, but it was a long time ago. And here we are. They moved through cover and managed to secure these 2 farms that appear to have become vital tactical locations. And what they are after is Kurilovka and these 2 crossing points here and here. Because you have the river Suja and the river Pisel. Here the Pisel has an off branch reaching Suja River, and the Suja River, let's see here, well, as you can see, it comes down this way and connects here with River Pisel, and this is where you can get across it, essentially. Right here is where Russia stands a chance of being able to cross it without relying on having to somehow overcome the river itself. So that is what they're after here at Kurilovka, a way to overcome the natural obstacle of the river, take Kurilovka, and then move on. They will not isolate Goevo. You might think they're heading for Kurilovka to isolate Goevo, but Goevo has, as you can see here, the road continues this way. It's a highway and continues up this way and eventually connects with the important road networks here between Ukraine and Sudzha. So Goevo is not isolated. Losing Kurilovka will not isolate Goevo. So Ukraine can still fight on in this area. They can potentially, in theory, move up to Kurilovka and support, relying on logistics coming in this way towards Goevo and then launching assaults to the north. But quite clearly, Russia is on a roll in Kursk, taking the wetlands here outside of Kurilovka, moving into this town so that they can cross the river Sudzha. If they do, that is very crucial because this river is a natural obstacle, natural barrier that is the front line for Ukraine, the last line of defense. If Russia can get across and operate within that river, they can begin to effectively threaten Sudzha and this vital highway here that is the main supply route into the entire Kursk area. So if they can push in here and begin moving towards this road here, it is really dangerous for Ukraine. So holding this town could become the most important battle for Ukraine in well over a year. If they can't hold this town, it allows Russia to push in and threaten the entire Kursk operation. So Kurilovka, this battle, Ukraine must hold this town. They must hold the river, because if Russia gets in here and can begin moving northwestward here towards this main highway leading into Sudzha itself, the entire operation here in Kursk is in danger, and Ukraine may have to abandon all of their positions in Kursk if Russia secures Kurilovka and can begin moving towards this main supply route. Also, gonna take a look here at the future of warfare in Kharkiv. We have learned that north of Liptsi, this is Liptsi, north of Liptsi, Ukraine has made an astonishing assault, relying only on automated vehicles, robots, drones, and unmanned ground vehicles with heavy machine guns and what have you, and mine-laying robots. North of Liptsi is this big hill with Kurilovka. So somewhere on this hill, Ukraine conducted a fully automated assault. Robots, unmanned vehicles, and drones. And it was apparently quite successful. They attacked I believe it was a specific Russian position, and managed to overcome the Russians in that location and force the Russians to withdraw. So somewhere here, around Lyboka, maybe over here in these woods, there was basically the future of warfare, where we had, not Skynet, but damn close to it, Terminators and hunter-killer droids and what have you, rolling in and crushing skeletons and skulls beneath their tracks and killing humans. Scary as hell. I mean, imagine when you get AI in control of these vehicles. We're seeing the future right in front of our eyes. It's pretty scary. And at Kupiansk, I think Russia has abandoned Kupiansk, to be honest. I mean, take a look at this. This is the city here. It's on the far side of the Oskil, and on the eastern side, industrial locations, warehouses, factories, you have suburbs, what have you. This is no fun to attack through if you're the Russians. I think Russia has abandoned these plans, and instead their focus is now Dvorichna and the bridges here, is my guess. They came across here into these bogs and marshes. That did not end well. They got pushed back, predictably so. But here, south of Dvorichna, they first secured this territory here. pushed out here and then into this area, and has since then managed to push into the outskirts of Dvorichna in the south. They have established a hold in the town itself, pushing north towards the center of town and trying to take control of these bridges. So instead of fighting their way through this hellhole, they're gonna try and take this much smaller town and secure these bridges to be able to get across the Oskil. I didn't think they would try and cross the Oskil, but that seems to be on the agenda nonetheless. And here we are. They are successfully expanding from this small area northward, and they are now in Dvorichna. So why is this area more successful than this area? And I think I may have figured it out. So this is the same area. Here you have the marshes where they got destroyed. Then they came across the river here. And take a look at this. It's right beneath these steep cliffs. Imagine if you're the Ukrainians trying to hit the Russians here with artillery. Right? Artillery is flying in. It's going to be damn difficult to striking these positions here with artillery. Artillery is going to come down at an angle from above, not straight above, but at an angle. So you're probably going to be hitting the top of the ledge here, of the ridge line, with a lot of artillery, and other artillery will fly down and hit this part, the eastern part of the river, but not this narrow patch between the river and the cliffs. So I think Russia has found a somewhat secure area. If they rush across, get troops across, then they can hide here where they are relatively safe from artillery. And I think that is how they have managed to build up forces west of the Oskil River, and they are now using that to build momentum and push north into town. Right? I mean, you can see here how it's not, as you can imagine, it's not that easy at all, managing to fly in with artillery rounds, hitting targets that are hiding behind these cliffs. So I think that might be an explanation as why this river crossing is more successful than up here. As you can see here, flat territory, marshes, wetlands, and it's easy to call indirect fire for Ukraine to destroy Russian positions. So I think that might be the secret to why Russia is more successful down here, and why they have now managed to gather enough troops to fight their way into town. And yeah, Russia wants these bridges, is my guess, so that they can come into Dvorichna, expand their hold up here north, and in so doing try and bypass this really difficult obstacle that is Kupiansk. And if we use Andrew Perpetual's map, here we have Crimea, here we have Kherson, and as you can see, a lot of Russian activity, airstrikes, rocket strikes, you have Ukrainian drones, you have Russian drones, and so a lot of activity. And we also learned, I don't think he has highlighted it now, but Russia has launched a lot of attacks against Ukrainian positions here, and there was an attempt apparently here at the Antonivka bridge, apparently, where Russia somewhere here tried to get across with boats and establish a beachhead. That was instantly taken care of by the Ukrainians. The Russians stood no chance. I'm not entirely sure where, but it was apparently a complete disaster. And Russians failed miserably, and no one's really sure what was going on. We have heard before that Russia has gathered some 300 smaller boats in this area, potentially in preparation for a larger operation crossing the Dnipro or the Bay area here. And we have heard that large columns of tanks have moved through Crimea, and that they're building up forces down here and yada yada. But this small boat attack, no one's really sure what that was. Maybe that was an attempt to see how easy is it to get across, how easy is it to hold territory and stuff like that. So they're kind of like just testing the waters, literally, to see, can we get across? And when we're across, can we establish a beachhead? And if we establish a beachhead, how long can we hold it? And what is the Ukrainian response to each stage of this operation? So maybe that is what we saw Russia trying to see, can we move with our boats on the river? Can we reach the shoreline? Can we establish a foothold? And how long can we hold that beachhead? That would be my guess. I think that seems reasonable, that Russia is just gathering intelligence on what can they get away with and what will the Ukrainian response be. So we need to keep an eye on this area. I think things are building up, and Russia might try something else further along, maybe during the spring. Should be noted that Ukraine has some 200 assault craft and high-speed transports for their own marines, for their own amphibious purposes. State-of-the-art equipment. And I believe it's Norway that has provided Ukraine with large amounts of funding to increase their coastal capabilities, their amphibious capabilities, and coastal defenses. So we'll see how this plays out, but I think things are slowly but surely building up to some major clash along this part of the river, or maybe out here in this bay area as well. Or maybe Russia will try an all-out assault towards Odessa. Russia likes to do unpredictable things at times, so maybe we will see a massive operation towards Odessa, and just trying to make Ukraine gather troops over here instead of strengthening the defenses over here. Not likely. I think this is where something will happen. Either Russia will try and cross, or Ukraine will try and cross, but we'll see. Eventually, sometime during 2025, I think things will heat up along the Dnipro and around Kherson. So that's it. Yes, in Kursk, I think Russia is close to achieving a critical victory if they can get across the Suja River. And Ukraine, they need to hold that town or the surrounding hills. There's no doubt about it. It is of operational and strategical importance holding that small town. It's the most important battle since Avdiivka and Ocheretune, basically. And the robotic assault north of Kharkiv, that is scary. That is scary when they become autonomous, when you rely on AI, having robots and drones operating on their own. That it's a scary future, and we're just seeing it unfold in this war. We're seeing the future of warfare with these robots. Scary, scary stuff. Yeah, anyway, that's gonna have to be it. I hope I'll see you in the next one. As always, go på marsch, Ukraine, and give them hell.